So welcome to the launch of Soul School Network. My name is Susan, and I will be your host today. And occasionally in the future, we will share this amongst the facilitators of Soul School Network. And so there are 5 facilitators of Soul School Network. I'm just going to deal with a little interference there. Go. And some of whom are here today. And what I'd like you to know is that we have been meeting over the last year to think about how it can be of support to our fellow humanity at this time of great change. Some would call it change, some would call it chaos, confusion, others would call it an opportunity. So whatever it is to you, we would like to be of service, and we would like Soul School Network to help you through this time of change, support you as you may be able to support us as well. And so we will invite your questions later about our plans for Soul School Network. I did write in the chat some of the speakers, the interviews that you can look forward to in the coming days. And I apologize, I'll do my best to follow the chat, but you can raise your hand later on after the interviews for your questions. So I'd like to introduce our facilitators for Soul School Network. And of course, you can learn more about them on the Soul School Network website. And prior to that, I think it was very appropriate that this morning, following my meditation, I pulled the friendship card, and I really like divination cards. So I'm just going to ask you to take a moment, close your eyes if you wish, because I think this message is for all of us. The card is number 14, friendship. Support, fun, unity, play. The 2 smiling young women on this card look out over the beauty of their homeland with joyous appreciation. The profound kindred connection they share is clearly a wellspring of ongoing support and happiness. This card is telling you that it's an important time to reconnect with friends and loved ones in order to experience the camaraderie and joint intentions of your soul group. There is a powerful vibration that comes from a connection forged in shared history, philosophy, and loving experiences. It is a palpable yet often unspoken union that brings deep feelings of support. This may or may not be the family of your youth, but when the resonance of these individuals vibrate in harmony, innocence, and enjoyment, you can rest assured that it is the family of your soul. You may have been feeling a need for support lately. If so, let yourself turn to those you know who will allow you to express all your deepest desires and fears without judgment or derision. Unite with others of like mind so you can continue to support each other through good times and bad. This card also encourages you to get together with others for the simple intention of fun and play. The times when you share these magical vibrations will spread the irresistible resonance of joy exponentially through your life and theirs. Always remember, you deserve to let go, to have fun, to come together with the happy souls that lift your energy and fill you with hope, comfort, laughter, and unbounded bliss. The affirmation is, I open myself to the supportive connections around me. I join in the fun and joy that these loving friendships can bring. So it seemed very appropriate to pull that card today. So I hope you enjoyed the message as I did. And our time together through Soul School Network is really an opportunity to look at many different spiritual paths and opportunities, because we're not looking for a cookie cutter solution. What we're looking for is ways to bring information, education, inspiration, comfort, relief, whatever it is that this community is looking for. And so we'll be looking for your input around topics that are you would feel would support you through this time. So let me just say that today's conversation is around the theme you saw on our website, which is personal and planetary transformation. And first, I'll just speak a little bit about our facilitators. So I am one of the facilitators, and I'm a holistic nurse in private practice, and I have a passion for integrative medicine and alternative healing, mystical teachings. My focus really is on healing the mind, what I'm thinking and believing in order to have an exceptional life. And another of our facilitators who isn't able to join us today is Dan. And Dan is a spiritual seeker who has benefited from shamanic experiences. He's worked with the Lakota and plant medicines, and he's deeply studied Gnosticism. He's dedicated to the spiritual path. Oh, there's Dan. Hi, Dan's waving. Karmic warrior. Hi, Dan. And
hello.
Hi, thanks, Dan. He's been dedicated to a spiritual path for over 25 years. We also here have Kavita. Hi, Kavita. Good morning or good evening to you. And Kavita is you'll see her bio on our website. Kavita is a craniosacral therapist, yoga teacher, author, poet, and much more. She has lived in India for many years, practicing the teachings of non-dual spirituality with a focus on conscious evolution and sacred activism. Thank you, Kavita. As well, of course, we have Michael. Michael is an Indigenous rights activist lawyer who has been on a spiritual path for almost 50 years. And while Michael has a clear understanding of most spiritual traditions, he has a deep connection to the wisdom and teachings of Indigenous elders. And good morning, Koryanka. Koryanka is an Incan high priestess, medicine woman, and sacred guide for rising medicine women who want to step into their sacred destiny and live authentically in their divine essence. She is also a cacao, rose, and flower priestess. Koryanka initiates and guides women worldwide through sacred ceremonial programs, both online and in person in Cusco, Peru. And behind the facilitators, of course, we have some wonderful support from Greg and from Peter. And of course, this is very important to us. Hi, Greg. I think Peter is with Koryanka, and we very much value the support that it takes for an initiative such as this. So in moving forward, this morning, we're going to speak with Michael and Koryanka about this topic of personal and planetary transformation. And so, if you're both ready to go, I think we'll begin with Koryanka. So Koryanka, please share with us how you arrived at your spiritual path.
Thank you for that question, Sue. I'd love to share. Well, I had a whole life created from the mind. I grew up in that kind of environment, and my parents and my family just wanted to have me become a happy, successful person. And they did all they could with their own belief systems and with whatever they had. So from that kind of environment, I grew up in that, mind mentality. Everything came from the head, and I was not connected with my heart until I ended up having a dark night of the soul, where my whole life crumbled down. I let go of a marriage, I let go of a career, and I also let go of the beautiful home where I used to live in North America since I was 19. And when all of that happened, in the process, I realized that there was definitely a different way to live my life, that I needed plenty of healing, that the way I had lived my life, definitely there was something that I needed to go back to review and learn a new way. And I was told by really wonderful teachers, you need to go back to Peru to heal with your own medicine. And that's what I did. And I came back for sacred ceremonies of the Incan lineage. And in those very first ceremonies is where I discovered actual bliss, a level of happiness I had never ever knew existed before, a connection with the spirit guides, the spirits of Pachamama, which is nature, the spirits of the mountains and animals, plants. I discovered this beautiful connection with the Incan ancestors. And I asked this one question right there and then: how can I do this? Can I learn to do this? And that was just the very beginning of a whole life journey of deepening and deepening the connection with the spirit world, with the divine light in every one of these ancestors. And life changed completely from that point on, because not only did I let go of so much heavy energy from my previous life, and I got to do plenty of deep healing of myself, but I also learned this new way of being and this amazing connection with the spirit guides. And so I have gone from there, and it has become a lifelong um, a lifelong kind of mission of mine to share this medicine and to be able to continue supporting the return of the light to the planet.
Thank you, Koryanka. Wonderful. Michael, over to you, please. Do tell us about how you arrived at your spiritual path.
Thank you. Thank you very much, and good morning to everyone. I want to first begin by honoring my elder, William Commanda, who has had such an impact on my own existence and my family. And it would be amiss if I did not start off by acknowledging the impact that Grandfather William Commanda has had on our lives. To become a seeker is to become a questioner. And there was a point in my life where I began to question the paradigm of materialism, the paradigm of constantly seeking that dollar and that security and idea of happiness in the material world. And it was in 1976, actually, in Calgary, Alberta, that I was impulsed to begin to investigate meditation. Where it came from probably is a background in Roman Catholicism, wherein I had at one point in time contemplated the idea of being a priest, which I now understand to have been the spark of spirit within me. Despite the fact that I began to reject the dogma of Catholicism, I remained a seeker. And so I walked into a spiritual bookstore for the very first time in 1976, and the book from Alice Bailey, A Treatise on Cosmic Fire, fell into my hands. And I began to read what I found to be answering the questions that I had, reverberating through myself. And I became a seeker of esoteric knowledge, which led me to investigate such people as Helena Blavatsky, Uspensky, Gurdjieff, all sorts of esoteric writers that actually blew my mind from the perspective of the depth of knowledge that occurred by reading all of these authors. And like Koryanka, there came a point in time where the first marriage that I had dissolved, and all of the things around me seemed to be falling away. And in the great blessing of life, I met Susan. I would say that Susan and I are twin flames, and that what embarked upon our relationship from that moment that we met to some 32 years later to now has been a deep spiritual exploration. almost immediately we came in touch with William Commanda. I took a sabbatical from practicing law for 5 years, and we pursued a journey investigating the Red Road by interviewing elders all over North and South America. And together, Susan and I, and at that time, Allura, who I see on this morning, Allura at the age of 9 months old embarked on that journey with us. And we were given teachings that are impeccable, unbelievable, and opened up our eyes to some beautiful, beautiful undertakings. And so as I say, I bless William Commanda for what he gave to us from the moment in 1994 about until he passed on August the 3rd, 2011, at the age of 97. During this time also, I would be remiss if I did not acknowledge Wilaru Waita, who in 1995, I read the article written called The Awakening. And that article was 6 pages long. And what it represented for me was 16 years of studying esoteric teachers. And I was completely taken aback by this article. I looked at the top of the page and there it said, Wilaru Waita, Cusco, Peru. And I can say from that moment on, I made a vow that I wanted to meet this man and understand where he was coming from and the tradition that he was speaking to, which was the Inca tradition. And I can say without fail, he introduced us, our family, to teachings of the Inca that we were unaware of. It was incredible, eye-opening, and very, very fulfilling. So we began to work with Wilaru in that time period, brought him up to Canada, all over the United States to teach. And we forged a relationship with him, which introduced us to the beautiful teachings of the Inca, and of course introduced us to the idea of Peru, where we both now sit in the bosom of Pachamama. This symbol here that I'm wearing around my neck is a symbol of Pachamama, the Great Mother, who gives us everything, food, shelter, you name it. Mother Earth looks after us. And I remember an Algonquin elder saying to me, you know, Mother Earth gifts us everything. And the only thing that we have to give back is our behavior. And so really what this is about in the end, Soul School Network, is to learn about behavior, to learn about the journey that we need to embark upon in order to come to a realization that our relationship is with spirit, not with material, not with the materialism. Materialism is fleeting. It may give you certain happiness at certain points, but it will not fulfill what is required, which is your soul journey. Yourself, with a capital S, is who you are. You are not defined by your material things. You are not defined by where you live, what you have, until such time as you embark upon an inner journey to make relationship with spirit. How we come to this realization means that we must become thirsty, and thirsty for the realization of our relationship with spirit. All of the things that came our way by virtue of making a commitment to the inner journey are inexplicable. The only word that sums it up is magic. And when you open your heart to the concept of relationship with spirit, then you will be amazed at what comes your way. And you will see it as being magical by virtue of the essence of fulfillment that comes with this kind of journey. Spiritual undertaking is the answer to all your woes. Any time that you feel disconnected then you can make relationship with spirit who will respond in kind. From my own experience, I can safely say that this has been our lives since Susan and I got together. We're the proud parents of 5 children. Well, they're not children anymore. But the gifts that they have provided is evidence and complete evidence of magic. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
You had
Thank
to give a little Clint Eastwood.
Honey, I don't know if it's being recorded.
What?
I don't know if it's being recorded.
Over to you, Susan.
Yeah, thank you. So I think, thank you for that, both of you. And, you know, I think it's pretty clear, probably most people here would see themselves on a spiritual path. And I just want to say that everyone is, whether they know it or not. We're in Earth School, and it is a spiritual path. It's, you know, spiritual beings having a human experience. So on to the next question for both of you. Koryanka, tell us, please, do you think this is an apocalypse or is it the awakening?
Well, from what I understand, and this comes from the Incan knowledge and traditions, we are living the times of the Great Awakening. However, it does feel a whole lot like it might be the apocalypse for a lot of people, and sometimes it can be so intense that that's the impression we might get. Um, and this is all part of the journey we all have signed up for as souls. All of us chose to incarnate at this time, even before we were conceived by our mothers. In Divine Mind, there was this beautiful plan that we would be coming and be here now at this time. And only God knows why. And it's also a beautiful part of the journey to discover for yourself that inner why, that personal why am I here? Why at this time? Not only are we here for ourselves and for fulfilling our own life mission and to be truly happy, which is a beautiful part of the journey as well. It's meant to be that way, but it's also for us to contribute to this world and to be part of what is happening here now. So yes, the Great Awakening, it's a huge calling for us to support the return of the light, which is at the center of this awakening. Of course, this is causing great upheaval. There is a movement of the energy that is beyond belief. A lot of it is happening kind of underground. Some of this movement of the energy can be very obvious, evident, and some of it is happening really in ways that we cannot even imagine. And it's because we are living in a world where there are 2 kinds of energies. There is the light, and there is also heavy energy that some might call darkness. And they're always, kind of like having this dance with each other. And in the past cycle of the earth, it was mostly darkness being kind of like being able to move everything, in the planet in ways that were very secret and we didn't even notice. Now it's becoming more and more evident that darkness is there and the light is wanting to return. But now we are facing, the movement of the energy, and we are part of this. We are very much part of this, whether we know it or not. We are participants and very much willing participants. And it's for us to make this important choice, whether we want to consciously step into our sacred calling to be part of this light movement, this return of the light, or we want to sit by the sidelines and pretend nothing is happening, or perhaps without knowing what to do, how to step forward, just being there, not doing anything. Actually is not serving as well. It really is much more empowering and really makes us be more alive if we do participate consciously and make a choice for the light. I know that everyone that is here are really good people, because I know who are being drawn to us are of light, and their hearts are really in the right place. So yes, still all of us that are good people oftentimes kind of like forget in the middle of so much going on in our own personal lives, busyness, work, other people's needs. Sometimes we do forget. We forget that there is more for us to step into when it comes to, how we can be active participants in this world of the Great Awakening. And we might forget that we have so much power within to bring the light forth. So it's important to make choices, to make a choice, a conscious choice, to be really consciously, willingly going for it, being active participants in this awakening that we're experiencing.
Thank you, Koryanka. And your lovely words have me thinking how different it looks. There's every version of human and spiritual being on the planet, and our contribution for this awakening can show up very differently. And that's part of what we want to honor at Soul School Network, is all the different spiritual paths and the way that we can be part of this awakening. Thank you. Over to you, Michael, please. Do you think it's the apocalypse or the awakening?
Well, I'd have to envelop the answer into the concept that you live in eternity. It's really very, very important to have in your consciousness the concept of eternity, infinity. When you realize that you live in eternity, you'll come to the realization that you've been here before, you're here now, and you'll be here again. The experiment on the Mother Earth is actually 7 solar races. We're in the 5th of 7 solar races. The first one was Adamic, the second one was Hyperborean, and we lived inside the Mother Earth. We lived inside the Mother Earth in a higher level vibration that was very spiritual. And we had a desire to come out. We had a desire to come onto the earth, into the material world. And this represents the 3rd solar race, which is known as Lemuria, the land of Mu. And in Lemuria, we were giant people. We were 18 feet tall. And we were basically conquering the physical. And Lemuria suffered the fate of not being able to attain the spirituality or the existence of God consciousness, and as a consequence sunk into the Pacific. And the remnants of it now are Hawaii and places like Easter Island, where you see the grand statues that are at least 8 feet tall, but only half of the human physical. The 3rd solar, the 4th solar race was Atlantis. And Atlantis was, again, a civilization that was very technologically advanced. As Koryanka observed, darkness took over. And as a consequence, that continent sank into the Atlantic. And the remnants of it are Great Britain and Greece and all of these places that stayed above the surface. We are now the 5th solar race, which is Aries or Aryan, not Hitler's Aryan, but derived from the constellation Aries. And this is where the awakening and the apocalypse come in, because we've reached the point again that we reached in Lemuria and that we reached in Atlantis, which is the duality. Which duality are we going to choose? Will we choose the light or will we choose darkness? And for everyone here's observation, one would conclude that darkness prevails, that darkness has taken over, and that as a consequence, it's not so confusing if you understand that we're repeating our mistakes. That's what's really happening, is we are repeating our mistakes. And the mistakes that we make have everything to do with the choice that we make in relation to our existence with spirit. Our resistance to relationship with spirit is why we are in the situation we are in. In order to overcome the period of darkness, again, it is an inner journey. If I can tell you that in the indigenous tradition, the fire keeper is the one who is the most revered in the community. And why is this? It is because the sacred fire that they tend on behalf of all. And it is an understanding that the sacred fire represents the life giver, which is the sun. Why have all indigenous peoples been, excuse me, why have all indigenous peoples been worshipers of the sun? Because they recognize its life-giving qualities and they recognize its spiritual dimension. There is a prayer that you could say every day when you arise and look at the sun. And it is a prayer of reverence to the sun. Unveil to us the face of the true spiritual sun, hidden by a disk of golden light, that we may know the truth and do our whole duty as we journey to thy sacred feet. This is the undertaking of the awakening. The awakening is arising within you, the fire that exists within every human being. Every human being is a fire keeper, because within your being you have three fires: the fire of the head, the fire of the heart, and the fire of the loins. This is electric fire. This is solar fire. And this is fire by friction. So within the concept of how you tend those fires equals who you are. You'll come to the realization that within every planet in the solar system, in the universes, inside is fire, everywhere. So you could say that God is fire. And as a consequence, as you become a fire keeper, you move towards God consciousness. And God, G-O-D, generating, organizing, destroying, Brahma, Shiva, Vishnu, within this Trinity, Father, Son, Holy Spirit. This is a universal understanding of fire, and that you have that fire within you. So the awakening has something to do with you coming to the realization of the instrument that you are. You are a vehicle for the divine light. And what obstacles and barriers present in relation to that come from the darkness. The darkness is designed to cast over the fire these obstacles and challenges, which are really a form of initiation in order for you to overcome and declare that you are in initiation, and the sun will be your life giver. I could go on, but I'll stop right there. The awakening is what you're in. The apocalypse is the challenge.
Thank you, Michael. And as I listen to both of you, as I consider light and dark, I really think of it as love and fear. And there is so much love on the planet, and there's so much fear right now. And so I can understand why people feel some days like it's the apocalypse with all that's going on the Mother Earth. And I do see it as an opportunity. So next question. So that both of you see this as an awakening, can you comment on Indigenous traditions or other spiritual paths that support the awakening? And Koryanka, please go ahead.
Yes, we have a wealth of wisdom and knowledge. in all of our spiritual traditions of the earth without exception. If we look at all of them, one way or another, we discover that our grandparents, how I like to call them, our ancestors of past times, they had such a beautiful, deeper connection with their own souls and the divine in nature. They really had an understanding that everything was connected and that everything was God made manifest in all of these different forms and shapes. They would actually develop relationships with their own divine essence, their own divine souls, and the divine all around them. And they knew how to relate to them and how to honor the divine within and outside, all over. And they have so much to teach us because the systems we have been living in for hundreds of years have been working in a way that have disconnected us from our divine essence and this understanding and knowing this dialogue with our own souls and with the divine all around us. Without noticing, we have been becoming more and more disconnected as time goes by, up to the point that we have reached at present time when we are disconnected in so many different ways. Um, Schools even teach us so many things and kind of fail to help us connect with our intuition and with our true abilities of having a way to connect with the imagination in ways that can be so powerful, just to give a few examples. And this is the life that we have today in this modern world. However, we still can make a point to return to the old ways. We can look at those ancient teachings and follow on the footsteps of our grandparents. We can learn from them and actually practice what they used to do. And that is nourishing those connections, quieting the mind and going into the heart to be able to access our own soul and listen to the voice of our souls, and to start then making choices from that place rather than making choices from the head, which is what we have been taught by modern society. And then the more we do that, the more we become empowered because we are returning to being ourselves and to being truly aligned and connected with our souls and the divine. And we can then also be absolutely supported by the divine all around us, these other souls, these other energies, and the medicine of nature. And so there is so much wealth there, resources and wisdom for us. And it's all available to everyone. It's just that every person now is needing to make a choice again, right? A choice is a choice, Do we want to receive all of that and seek that kind of wisdom and that kind of support? Do we want to make those connections happen? And so we can live from that place of deeper connectedness, if you will, with the divine in all of this, around us and our own souls. And so it's a journey. It doesn't happen overnight. It's definitely a journey, but it's a beautiful one, and it's so worthwhile, really using our time or energy, just like we do use our time and energy to perhaps go out there and work, to do other things and devote time to other activities. This is also an important aspect of being human and becoming even more human than we are already. Yes, so that's what I'd like to share with you.
Thanks, Koreanka. And I know if people go to your website, they'll understand even more about the Indigenous traditions and teachings that you impart that help people through this awakening process. Thank you. Michael, please do tell us about your thoughts on Indigenous traditions and how they support the awakening, please.
Sure, thank you. I can say that when we embarked upon the journey of interviewing elders for that 5-year period back in the mid-90s, what was revealed very quickly was that if you wanted to know the answer to the question, what is the core culture of indigenous people, the answer would be spirituality. And then embarking upon that journey of understanding spirituality is understood very deeply through ceremony. Indigenous people's ceremony have deep meaning. The fire ceremony, the sweat lodge, the sun dance, the potlatch. All of these ceremonies have deep significance to spirit. But what we also learned is that prophecy has a very, very big part to play in the understanding of the ancient ones. I'm presently working on the revival of the Mi'kmaq Nation in Canada. I see our chief, Stacy Amakwapi, is here on this talk this morning, and I'm glad that he is. But within the revival, it's like the phoenix arising out of the ashes. It was a nation that the authorities have tried to bury because they do not want the truth of their existence to come to the fore. This has been the story of the indigenous people since the relationship between the dominating society and the indigenous people. But within the concept of our research, we came upon a title that really impacts on our thinking. And the title of it is "The Ancestors Are Arranging Things." So isn't that a beautiful title? That within the concept of our existence, those who have passed on in spiritual higher dimensions are with us. And within them live the prophecies. As a for instance, the prophecy of the white buffalo calf. So the prophecy of the white buffalo calf is a very important prophecy for our knowing about the awakening, for our knowing about where things are at. And the Reader's Digest version of the white buffalo calf prophecy is as follows. It is said that white buffalo calf woman, a sacred woman, came to the Lakota people and brought them the spiritual pipe. Now, the spiritual pipe, if you really reflect on the pipe used by indigenous people in pipe carriers, the bowl represents the feminine, the stem represents the masculine, and the smoke that arises represents our relationship to spirit. And so the magical undertaking of the spiritual pipe gifted to the Lakota people by white buffalo calf woman is applicable to us. And she said to them, after giving them the teachings of the spiritual pipe, which is much longer than what I just told you, she gave them a prophecy. And she said as follows: "You will know that changing times are upon you when there is born a white buffalo calf. You will know it is the white buffalo calf of the prophecy, because at its birth the father will die, evidencing the death of the patriarchal system and the rebirth of the matriarchal system. You will know it is the white buffalo calf of the prophecy, because after its birth, it will turn all colors of humanity and then go back to white." On August the 3rd, 1994, in Janesville, Wisconsin, born to white ranchers was a white buffalo calf, who they called Miracle. The father of white buffalo calf died that day of a brain aneurysm, and white buffalo calf turned all the colors of humanity. I have with me a picture of white buffalo calf Miracle, the very one I'm speaking of. An Algonquin elder went to that ranch, got this postcard, and took hair from the white buffalo calf and appended it to the back of the postcard. The white buffalo calf I'm showing you was gifted to me by a woman who had done ceremony for everyone in Sweat Lodge. And in the Sweat Lodge, she was told in her last ceremony that she was to give that white buffalo calf to someone. And she gifted it to me. She gifted it to me, I think, because of our journey with the elders. It was a representation, it was a symbol to us that we were on the right path in relation to discovering the knowledge of the elders and the indigenous in order to share it with others, in order to share the idea of what the indigenous customs, ceremony, and tradition mean to humanity. This is the emergence of humanity through the ceremony, tradition, and custom of the indigenous people. They revere sacredness. Our society rejects sacredness. And that is the apocalypse and the awakening. The apocalypse is the rejection of the sacred, and the awakening is the revering of sacredness. And so we come within this point in time where it may look dire. However, each and every one of us here carries within your heart the opportunity to bring about the reverence of sacred. And within that act, we will emerge. It's strange, but I went to Notre Dame College in Wilcox, Saskatchewan, a little, hole in the wall, 300 people population. But we had an amazing priest, a Roman Catholic priest, who was the most ecumenical man I'd ever met in my life, Father Murray, who accepted Buddhism, accepted Hinduism, accepted all of these paths as being universal consciousness. And within that universal consciousness, he chose a model for the college. In Latin, it was luctor et emergo, and that means struggle and emerge. That is what we are. We start out in a cocoon and we emerge as butterflies. Why do you think the magic of natural existence shows us that? Why does it show us a creepy, crawly creature emerging as a beautiful flying essence? Because that's who you are.
Thank you, Michael. And I'm glad you spoke to prophecy, because at our next Soul School Network meeting on March 17th, we'll really be digging into prophecy and Grandfather William Commanda. So we'll learn more then. So I'd like to lead into the final question, and perhaps a fairly brief answer to allow us a little bit of time should anybody have a question before the top of the hour. So the last question is, and I think everyone would agree, that we want freedom and transformation to some extent, at least, if not fully. And if you could share your thoughts on how this can be achieved. And I think you actually have already done that, but maybe more specifically, Koryanka, please go ahead.
Yes, thank you. Well, it all starts with ourselves. It all starts with that inner exploration and being able to be available for the medicine that is all around us, to heal our own hearts, to heal our own minds, to be able to bring ourselves back to that alignment and openness, readiness to receive more of the divine light that is everywhere, and for us to also be in dialogue with our own souls, and that way live our lives from that place of coherence and being from that soul that we really have as a moving force that is absolutely powerful. But it does take so much beautiful healing and inner work. And so once we are able to do that, we start on that journey. Really, that is a huge step forward we're taking. And from that place, then we start to rediscover what it is like to be ourselves, what it is like to be ourselves from that place of the soul, and without having outside forces kind of like put us in a box or prevent us from really being truly all of who we are. So that's where we find true freedom. It all starts as an inner work.
Thank you, Koryanka. And I think everybody that's here hopefully understands that this doesn't happen just, sitting on the couch thinking about it. There is work involved. There's a practice involved, and there's a lot of support for that available to us. Thank you. Michael, briefly, please touch on freedom and transformation, please.
The word briefly is anathema to me, but I will respect what it is that you've said. Meditation. I can only hardly emphasize anything more than meditation. Meditation is the pathway to what Koryanka is speaking to. What is she speaking to is an inner discipline, the quieting of the mind. Very quickly, the Inca taught that if you want to raise your consciousness, you have to work on the elimination of the 7 egos. The 7 egos are represented in the cardinal sins: lust, anger, pride, envy, greed, laziness, and gluttony. Each of those egos invades each one of us. And the way to rid ourselves of our egos is with our father and our mother. The father represents wisdom in the third eye. The mother is in the heart, which represents love. And so love, wisdom is what you must call upon, which is in every human being. Each of us has been imbued with the divine spark. Call upon your father and your mother to assist you to eliminate the egos, quiet the mind, meditate, and life will be glorious.
Thank you, Michael. So brief. I appreciate that. Okay, so I'm hopeful that there may be a question or two in the room. And so I welcome you to raise your hand or your virtual hand through the reaction button at the bottom of your screen, likely, if you have any question. If you could direct it specifically to Koryanka or to Michael. And yeah, I welcome that. Okay, we have a quiet room this morning. Perhaps you've given everybody so much to think about. Gail, great, please go ahead.
Thank you so much. It's not really a question. It's just that I'm feeling very connected, and I really appreciate it. Thank you, Michael and Koryanka. I'm just vibrating. I'm back in Peru, I think, virtually, but I'm there. My whole body is just in shivers, and so I can really relate. And it's so inspiring and it's encouraging to hear those words. We all need direction and support. This is support of the spirit. We're doing the work. We're working hard to stay centered. To be lovingly responsive to everything that happens in our lives. And so I thank you all, and thank you, Sue. It's just been I didn't respond to you. I wasn't sure if I could come on this morning. So thank you. And yeah, this is amazing. I'm just like, woo, vibrating. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Gail. And that is our goal, of course, is to inspire and to comfort and to uplift, and for people to feel that they have a direction to go in, some ideas, much like the message I read at the beginning around friendship. There is a community of people, and we're all in this together. We're a human family, and And this is important that we support one another. And this is the effort of Soul School Network, is to provide that support. And so I do hope that you will share this with friends going forward, so that we can build our community over time. And so please do join us on March the 17th while we speak about prophecy. And as I wrote in the chat, there's other great speakers to look forward to. Please do consider a donation to Soul School Network, even $5, little by little. We could help cover the expenses of Zoom and website and all the things that we're doing. And please do go to the Soul School Network website if you wish to. If you would like to be on an email list, you likely heard about it through one of the facilitators, but you could also be on an email list that comes from Soul School Network if you would like to be. And so we would like to close every meeting with the mantra of unification. And we would like Michael to lead that, please, unless there's any further questions from any of you or comments. Okay. So thank you again for joining us today. We are so grateful that you took the time. I know there's a 1,000 other places that you could choose to be that in person or online. There's so many opportunities, and that you chose to be here with us. We are most pleased and grateful. So I will turn it over to Michael for a closing prayer, and I look forward to seeing you again on March 17th. Thank you so much to Koryanka for your thoughts, your wisdom, your sharing this morning, and to Michael as well. And you will be hearing from other facilitators in the future and some great speakers, great interviews. So Michael, please do go ahead.
Thank you. I want you all to know that this prayer is a very ancient prayer, specifically designed with vibration in mind, and specifically soul vibration. And as you hear the words, you will come to the realization of how deeply connected to spirit the words are. The mantra of unification. The sons and daughters of men and women are one, and I am one with them. I seek to love, not hate. I seek to serve and not exact due service. I seek to heal, not hurt. Let pain bring due reward of light and love. Let the soul control the outer form and life and all events, and bring to light the love which underlies the happenings of the time. Let vision come and insight. Let the future stand revealed. Let inner union demonstrate and outer cleavages be gone. Let love prevail. Let all humanity love. Wirakocha.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you, everybody. Feel free
Thank
to,
you.
if you wish, and wish you a wonderful week ahead. Look forward to seeing you again soon. And please do reach out through the website if you have any feedback for us, any suggested speakers, topics. We welcome anything you might have to share. All the best to each and every one of you. Take care.
Thank you.